Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP's coverage of Australian Survivor for Australia v. the World. I'm your host, Shannon Guss, here to talk on a Sunday night about another big episode, episode 7. We had 2 boots tragically taken from the game. We had a lot going on, and to talk about it, I have the person I always have here starting the week. It is Chappell. Chappell, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I came in very excited. I'm very excited to talk about this, obviously, but I'm very sad because I think our draft took a big hit over here on the world side today.
Oh my God.
I mean, God, I hadn't even thought about it, and I was like, oh my God, everything's about even now. This is crazy.
No, I had Tommy.
Yeah.
I have no one.
Oh
I
yeah.
have
Oh,
Luke and
you did have
Janine.
Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did have Tommy.
The
I thought we
draft
got all the
is
world
looking
people, but
bad.
you got one person. You did get Tommy. That is
I
true.
got Tommy and Tony. You got
yeah.
Shawnee and George. Yeah.
Yeah. It just wasn't a great episode for the world, I guess I should say. And man, that's the thing. Talking about this episode with you always makes me think, okay, now let's talk about the implications for next episode. But we got so much to talk about in this episode too, so I'm ready.
Yeah. I mean, look, as you said, the world took a beating. It was a world war here. And I feel like this was a terrible episode for me for everyone other than Parvati. Parvati comes out of this in such a good spot. I'm like, did Parvati just win this season? Because she gets out of this to the final 6 with both trinkets. She has Cirie without an escape raft now. Cirie loses her other option, I think a better option in having the worlds, and now is kind of forced to go with her. And even if she wasn't forced to go with her from a numbers perspective, she's very, very protected if she would ever try to take her out. Parvati's so protected. She takes out her biggest endurance threat for a Final Four, a final immunity challenge. Like, she's just, and I think she beats anyone if she gets to the end. Like, Parvati's in such a good spot. She had good reads. She chose the best possible targets. And I think everyone else kind of biffed it in different ways between the 2 votes in some capacity. So I'm coming in very high on Parvati. The Chizi points, I was like, she should get like 20. And everyone else was like it was a soft 2. And so I don't know.
I love this season of television because as I talked about last time, I did gain like even further respect for Tony, watching him play from a level of adversity or whatever. But like Parvati, she, to me, after watching this, this lady might be the best who ever did it. You know, she might be the best like across the world. And I mean that across every continent, whatever. I don't know. I haven't seen everybody's games, but I've seen enough of Parvati to see that I've seen her play from basically every position. I've seen her play at the top, leading an alliance and leading them to the end. I've seen her. She comes into almost every season with a target on her back. Not the first one, but Micronesia. She's not exactly the person everybody wants to play with at first. She builds an alliance from there. Heroes versus Villains. She's on the back foot the entire time. She's fighting for her life in Winners of War. And here she has been basically the hottest commodity out here on that tribe to get out to some extent, you know, right? And see, even when we hit the merge, I know Cirie's been getting a lot of the votes, but the heat's been on Parvati. It's just been falling on Cirie. And so to see her in this episode where they're trying to get her and we're seeing just incredible reads, the best instinct. She's got so much experience playing the game at this point too, where it's like, she can tell when things are off. She can tell when things are good. She can tell when she could trust somebody. She's very shrewd, but then also physically, we know that she's like one of the best endurance competitors. She's won so many immunity challenges. She can find idols. She has a great social game when she wants to have one. I don't have a lot of negatives in the Parvati like Survivor baseball card. Like I don't find the flaw in this woman when it comes to Survivor. She can do it all. She doesn't necessarily do it all the time, but she can do it all. I was so impressed. She might be the best who ever did it.
Well, I mean, it's high praise, but it is a great episode. I feel like, I mean, if you go through these different factions, these voting blocks of 3 that are working kind of a triangle, the worlds get decimated. That speaks for itself, and we'll talk about it. The Australians do well on the first vote. I think taking out Cass on the first vote, that's great. They get themselves as the 3 in the middle of 2 twos, which is a great spot to be. But then when they didn't take the shot on Cirie and Parvati, when Tommy's giving them a great pitch about like, just do it. Like if she plays an idol, like Tommy's getting that on the bounce back. So it's such a good opportunity, even if you can't split, even if like Lisa won't split on Parvati and Cirie, there was so much opportunity for that 4 to do something. And they take out, not just that they don't take out Parvati or Cirie, they take out Tommy when at the very least they got Lisa as like an option for Cirie in this block. So I feel like they did really well, and then it fell away on something really simple. And we can talk about the twist because it's like, how much do I blame them and how much do I blame the twist rushing through a pivotal final 7 vote? But I still feel like it should have been instinctive. And then for Parvati and Cirie, I feel like it's great for them as a duo, but is something that's great for them as a duo great for Cirie? Can Cirie beat Parvati at the end? I mean, I think maybe controversially, it's the hottest topic in, Survivor history. Would Cirie have won? I think Cirie beats Parvati in the Micronesia Final 3. But I don't know that she beats her in this season because Parvati comes in as Parvati, like this fully formed icon, and Cirie is somehow still underestimated. And I think if Parvati gets to the end with that reputation, you kind of got to give it to her. I mean, there's pros and cons to their game, which we can talk about. Actually, not a lot of cons. There are pros to both games. But Parvati, I think, comes there with the edge. We've always wanted to see Cirie talk at a final tribal council. Maybe she could get it done. But it's not a great spot for her. And she's kind of cornered now. So Parvati comes in with all the options, with all the agency. And I don't feel like anyone else does. Like, how do the Aussies get to a point where they're a 3 against Parvati Cirie, but Cirie still has Lisa and Parvati still has 2 trinkets that they even know about? Like, I don't think that's great. And I think they had a lot of power to do something a lot better at that final 7 votes. So yeah, criticisms abound for everyone but Parvati here for me.
Absolutely. I think that like you're 100% correct. The Aussies completely biffed the second vote because what are you doing? Now you have the world still has they have Lisa basically as the 3rd for them, and you put yourself in a position where they can just pull somebody. Like you could have had the numbers on the US basically right here by just taking out one of them, flushing one of Parvati's things. It would have been pretty cool. You could have knocked it out. You got Tommy around, who's not the biggest threat around, like, don't get me wrong, he's a scrappy player. We see him have a really good immunity challenge, but this was definitely the time to split this alliance up of Parvati and Cirie because they have no issue. At least Parvati has no issue going to the end with Cirie. So I definitely did not support that. But as far as Parvati goes, it's not even the reputation I think that wins her this season if she gets to the end. It's everything that she's even done with that reputation. Parvati comes in with the reputation that she's Parvati, but then in the game, she didn't just rest on her name being Parvati. She has found an advantage. She has found an idol. She has won an immunity challenge. She has played where she has been targeted and flipped votes actively at tribal council. Like, she's doing the things that you give people credit for. The resume is building and expanding, and it's such a flashy game. Like, it's such a flashy game to where I don't have to tell you everything I did at tribal council. I don't have to argue with Cirie. Cirie can say whatever she wants, but look at all the stuff that I did, and you all got to experience it. I was the one who made sure that Cass mistakenly played the idol for Lisa. She made sure she used her advantage and lied about how it was used. This lady look at the material. You could be the judge of it. There's no reason why Parvati should be making it to the end because she will beat everybody, but it's also damn near impossible to get her out at this point. So yeah, good luck. I know AU is famous for our long endurance challenges that we have, these grueling challenges, standing up on the spikes, and I'm picking Parvati over everybody on that. Getting Cass out this round was so perfect for her. That's her biggest threat in the game to win those immunities, and she gets her out with an idol. This is crazy.
Yeah, it is amazing. Man, amazing. Yeah.
So I'm looking at Cirie and I'm thinking, girl, what you gonna do now? I love my girl, but you run out of options. There's not a lot of places to go.
I agree. I'm like, what's the plan? And I do think Parvati played an excellent game. I'm not saying that it would just be based on reputation, but I also think that Cirie has had a lot of great stuff. She's been the connector to the worlds. Like, they've both had an aura that has brought people in. I just think that if you also add to the fact that Parvati came in as like the first name, kind of like she did in Heroes versus Villains, that's very, very impressive to me. The same way that, Tony came in to win as a war as a big name, and that's very impressive. And we said from the preseason, if someone sits next to a big name, it's going to be hard to beat that big name, let alone the game that Parvati has played. So if you let her get to that point, whether you're Cirie or someone else, everyone else at this point, there's a big X for me. Not great. But then how much do you put on the twist? Like, how much is it everyone's fault? Or how much is it like they didn't have time to think about it here because that pivotal vote is being rushed through here?
No, I don't give them that. Tommy is very clearly not the biggest threat on the board here. If you're going to take one out, it's very clear that Parvati has an idol. She doesn't know that Luke has an idol, so it's not like she could just reach over and steal his. And so that idol can only save one of them. You vote for whichever one, whichever one you think she's not going to play it for, and then whoever they play it for will go home, and that's Tommy. So I think the Australians were really never supposed to eliminate Tommy here. He's nowhere near the jury threat that Parvati would be. He hasn't played that flashy game, and this still leaves Cirie and Parvati in the game together, and they are willing, or at least Parvati is willing to go all the way to the end with Cirie. Yeah. And so, I just feel like they kind of biffed it, and don't get me wrong, it is a twist where they're moving very quickly and they're doing the challenge and there's a lot going on, but this season was already going to be accelerated. This happens in SurvivorAU quite often, actually. This is not a new occurrence in AU where they just like do some, quick fire making, quick something, So it's like, this kind of within the bounds of what we are used to seeing here. This wasn't the most outlandish thing I've ever seen. We've even seen some of like some kind of stuff like this before in US Survivor, where it's like, okay, we're not even gonna go back to camp yet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, I didn't think this was too out of bounds. This twist was not the twistiest twist by any means. It's just, I think they kind of were just feeling safe. I think that the Aussies have now, they're not, their back isn't against the wall anymore. So now they're just like, let's just get through one more vote. Let's get through one more vote. Let's just get through one more vote. And they're just trying to make it through, because at any second now, there's a world where Parvati, Cirie, Lisa, and Tommy say, all right, well, we got Cass out. Let's get it back. Let's get the band back together. And they can't risk that. They can't risk the four of them actually being like, no, I think we want Shani out again. Or I think we want Janine out again. They really need to maintain their numbers. They're Aussie strong. So they're like, we'll just go with whatever you want, anybody but us.
Well, and that was so safe. I think even Janine says, like, let's do the safe thing. But, like, Luke is immune. The Worlds have just voted out one of their own. Like, this is the perfect time to strike, and you have to play to win. And, again, you have Tommy on the bounce back of an idol. It does take away, the subtlety of doing it. Obviously, you're doing it in front of people at a tribal council. It makes it, it can't be, like, a delicate vote. So I think I don't give grace to the Australians, because I feel like it should be so instinctive to take that shot. And 7 is so important. You have so much power. I give a little bit more grace to Cirie. Cirie's delicate. Like, Cirie might have thought to come for Parvati to 7 at a regular 7, but doing it now here in all of that, she can't all coordinate that, because that's actually like a big thing to do, and she would need to be like a day to work that magic. So I think that made it really tough for Cirie. The Australians, I think, can be like, hey, 3 of us right now on Cirie or Parv, and have the bounce back be on Tommy, or not at all, would have been great to at least take out a trinket, if not actually one of that duo. So I don't give a lot of grace, but I think the show got a little lucky, because 7 is the conventional flip point. You would have hated for 8 to be continuing some sort of like AU slaughter, Shani goes home, and then instead of a big flip happening at 7, you continue down that line, because people are so kind of, as we know, like when twists are thrown out, people do become conservative, and you would hate for that 7 to happen. But because Tommy wanted to make the move at 8, which I actually kind of get for Tommy, that big flip had happened, and then now we run down the line. But honestly, like, the season is too good to just rush through Pagongings that would otherwise not happen, I don't think. So I wish they could have just used another day. Why can't the season be 17 days? Is anyone not doing it for 17 days? I would rather just take the day and make this 2 rounds in the same episode, but this is what we got. And I think it doesn't behoove the show, because people do tend to be more conservative, and it's voting out Tommy was in no one's best interest but Parvati. But honestly, it's not that surprising that they just continue down the line, because in panic, that's what people do.
Yeah, you play a little bit tighter whenever you get the twist. We talked about it before. But I agree. I think, like, if I'm looking at Cirie and she's the mastermind that I want her to be, Cirie, in my mind, she probably won't make the move on Parvati here. It's a little, like you said, it's 2 out in front. It's right in front of Parvati. Parvati's got the idol. Like, you can't take that shot directly at her. But Cirie can circle the wagons. If she's able to say, Parvati, we need Lisa and Tommy for one more vote. We need them. Let's get out one of the Aussies. We'll go for Shani. We'll go for Luke. We'll go for Janine. Maybe you convince the Australians to vote for Tommy. We see that they do, and then maybe Luke, if he plays idol, that's still a Tommy vote, that ends up happening if Luke is the one that you target. But I think that if you have a little more time,
Luke says,
but Luke is immune. But let's see, and that's another reason why too, I guess, because with Luke having that extra idol, if he chooses to play it, which it doesn't seem like he's going to play it for anybody else, unless it really comes down to it. But here's the thing: she could definitely circle the wagons and say, hey, Shani's here, Janine's here. Why not? Let's take one more of those out. We'll deal with Tommy later. What's he going to do? Flip to their side? Okay, fine. Let him go. And he can be, it'll still be, Lisa, Parvati, or maybe they don't want to leave Lisa in that spot. Maybe that's what it is. Who knows? Maybe they don't want to leave Lisa in the decision-making spot. Because if they leave Tommy alive, they get rid of Shani. Tommy basically flips at that point. And then Lisa is allowed to flip at that point too. And they leave Parvati and Cirie on the outs. Maybe that's what they're avoiding. I don't know. It just felt like losing Tommy here, like you said, it serves Parvati. And so I do commend Parvati on making sure that was what happened. But everybody else in the game is really hurt by like this option being gone. Tommy was somebody who was willing to play with the Aussies. He's like, hey, pick me. I'm ready. Let's go. And they leave him out to dry. And so now what are we at? A 3-3 split at 6 with the world versus the Aussies. And Parvati has some trinkets that is going to be really hard to avoid. So yeah, she put herself in a really good spot. I don't know, even though it probably wasn't by design, it still worked out in her favor.
I mean, it's by design in that it's that instinctive, correct read of like, Tommy's coming for me and he doesn't serve my game at all. Let me keep it strong and keep working this down. Whereas like having those different options gives more capacity to take out Parvati, which is good for everyone who's not Parvati. But in terms of like taking out an Aussie for Cirie, I mean, Tommy's not even coming to her, which is hard. Parvati should just take out Tommy. So that's hard to convince. Like, we know that misalignment of allies has been such a big part of the season, and like those different intentions and those different values. Hard to do it in the moment with like a 10-minute tribal council, 10 minutes after Parvati's been like, I might play my idol on me or on Cirie. I was like, okay, thank you so much. Will you also do a suboptimal vote for you so that I could later vote you out?
So that I could try to
about me 15 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, 15 minutes ago. So I think that makes it, I think it puts Cirie in a very, very tough spot, because any funny business of not just going with what Parvati wants. Because the thing is, if Cirie wants to get to the end with Parvati, then this is good. Let them go to let them go to 6 with Lisa and Trinket. Sure, it's great for the duo, but that's not good for Cirie. The only reason Cirie would do that is if she wants the capacity to take out Parvati later and still have options and still have a bit of this escape hatch. And Parvati can read that, and it's really hard to do that on site. So I think that it makes it a very tough spot for Cirie, because she'd have to be kind of breaking away from that duo in like a very public way without any of the time to finesse it.
And look, I'm very biased when it comes to Cirie. We all know this. I've never pretended not to be. And so I'm very happy to extend her grace that this was moving a little too fast. She didn't have time to work her little magic or whatever. So Parvati's right there saying basically like, hey, it's me and you, and I got my idol to protect us. So yeah, it's going to be very hard for her to be like, all right, hey y'all, let's take the shot. Let's try to do a split or something like that. Like it's just not, it's not something that she's going to have the capacity to do at that moment. Yeah, this would have been nice if it was better, but I mean longer. But honestly, Shannon, I know the sample size is small, but I don't know, man. I know we hate it when Survivor, it annoys me that SurvivorAU is 1 billion days long. It annoys me that some seasons are even longer than that. It annoys me that like US proper has now gone down to less days, but even less days at this point, it's kind of cooking. Every episode is just like, like I know y'all said let's go back up. Let's increase the amount of days. What if we decrease the days? What if
let's make it a weekend.
Every week, every season of Survivor is like Survivor Philly. It's a day and a half. But the people are moving at such a fast pace, Shannon. I'm really enjoying that. It's almost like a breakneck speed, and I think it's encouraging them to be a little bit more reckless, because time is of the essence. It's not like, oh, I got a couple weeks to figure this out. It's like, no, you got to have this done today. You have to have this done tomorrow or else. And a lot of the moves, I think, are being made because they're under the gun.
Yeah, and I think we said about something like Survivor South Africa Champions was 27 days, but they merged on like day 19. They had like a normal merge. And then like from a 39-day season, and then they just went to tribal council every day. And what we really saw was it separated skill level, and the people who did well in the season and the eventual winner, they kept up, but other people started falling away very quickly. And I think we saw that in this episode. Like Parvati's instincts were very good, and Cirie had something very complicated and pull it off. And honestly, the Australians had something not that complicated, and they still didn't do the right thing, I think. So I think that we see that speed catching up to people, and we did think that would separate. I mean, to talk about it from the Australians, like, let's not go through, the first vote was good, right? The first vote, it's like, fine. Yeah, like that. Before we get to the second last part, or not even the half, but like last part of this, to get to the 3-2-2, I think makes sense. Like to get to the 7 in that capacity, this is why the Tommy vote was so annoying, because that gave them so much power. I think they have the right read on, well, I mean, both sides do want to work with it. But I will say, I don't have a lot of hard and fast rules in Survivor, really. I'm like, to me, it's quite dynamic. The hard and fast rule that will always play out, people hate, never do this. People hate when you come to them last minute with a plan, it never works. No one else is ever like, oh my God, thank you so, so much. Yes, I will do what you want. People feel cornered. They feel attacked. They instinctively push back. We've seen it multiple times this year even. That's what happens with the Australians. Tommy comes to them last minute. Lisa's giving them dodgy information. They don't like it. Luke verifiably uses it and then also like works in the he said, she said from last episode. They do very well here before it falls off a cliff in 20 minutes from now.
See, I disagree. I think that, this is the last minute move is like out of the Rob Cesternino playbook. That's the, okay, really quickly, like, let's just vote out Christy. And they're like, okay, bet. So we've seen it work. I think the hard and fast.
To be fair, on the Chrissy thing, Rob came up with that late and then was like, should we just do this? And they were like, yeah, like they all came to that conclusion kind of together at that time. There's a difference between we've seen multiple times before, even like in 48, where people are like, I have this plan, but I'm going to corner them. And the thing is, Tony does do this well. Tony, we see, like, I think even as with the Sophie vote, Tony's a unicorn. You need a lot of finesse. It is not 100%, but very, very often, especially with players with big personalities like this, that if you tell them something last minute in a way that feels like you're trying to trap them, because let's be honest, you are, instead of saying, thank you so much, my savior, I'll do that, they say, screw you.
Screw this.
I don't like feeling attacked. And then they come back at you. That happens so often. It is a very hard move to pull off, I think.
I think there's a rule that's like even worse than this one that was broke. A cardinal sin here. If you are going to tell the people that you're going to vote, you don't tell them you're not voting with them. You don't tell them you're not voting with them.
I didn't know that needed to be a rule.
I didn't either until we saw Lisa do it. She told the Aussies like, hey, we're doing the Parvati thing. Bet. Okay, cool. And I'm like, okay, Lisa, walk away. And she's like, yeah, by the way, I'm not going to do that with you. I'm like, oh God, like this is what rule number like 3 on the Survivor rule book. Like, you got to vote with the alliance because then people are going to know they can't trust you. And very quickly, it just kind of exposes her. But what's worse is that Lisa's play here to like say like, oh, well, y'all vote for Parvati. I'm going to sit this one out, but we still going to have a little thing, get together. Like, that's fun if it works. It rarely works. Rarely works. I can think of like maybe twice that it's ever worked. But like in this situation, it completely tanks the world's game. It doesn't really tank Lisa's game, but it's the reason why they're on the back foot in this. They have this ammo now against them because Lisa's like, oh yeah, I'm not with you. I'm showing you a thing, but I'm not all the way with you. And so that gives them license to be like, all right, well, since you're not with us, let's blow it up a little bit. And so we go into tribal council. And all of this is happening around Lisa. The room is kind of spinning, it's like, oh God, what's happened? What have I done? And it leads Lisa to a situation where she's watching her allies go out one by one. And it's because of something that she did. If she hadn't done this, maybe they're able to pass the Parvati vote off as like, okay, we got the number. Let's play it cool. But it gets really weird, after they try to make the move on Parvati. And then we see Cass will go here. And then Tommy's next on the chopping block. It is largely not their fault. At least we're not given that it was like, okay, the world was about to flip and, Parvati caught on because of them. We get like the vibe that Parvati caught on because of Lisa. And then Luke kind of throws Lisa under the bus at tribal council the moment her name comes up. Like, yeah, she's been acting sketchy, and so it really, I feel like this was the sin, that did Lisa in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, Kirby does something like this without telling her allies in the first vote. She throws a decoy vote.
And it was not well received. It was not well received. It wasn't well received.
It's a tough one. The decoy vote thing is hard. If you can make people feel like it's part of a plan where like, I'm going to be a spy for us, there might be something there. But for Lisa, it's like, I'm not going to do it so I can maintain my relationships. Okay, puppets? Like, you do what I want, and I'm going to have my cake and eat it too. And people don't like that either. And I think what was hard for Lisa is it was so verifiable. Cirie says it's one of the things where it's like Luke wouldn't make up something like so convoluted. Now there's like actually so much information. So it's like, you don't vote that way, you actually get nothing. You don't vote that way, so now you've pissed them off, the people you're meant to vote with. But also they can come back and be like, Lisa said this, here's word for word what she said, that she's fully backing it, but she's not going to vote that way to try get one over on you. Now they're not in with you either. It's a massive half measure. Lisa got caught between these two worlds, Australia v worlds, in a very complicated way. It was about turning really on Cirie, or being with the world tribe or the internationals that have been so important to her. And I think she got caught between a rock and a hard place. But I do think you have to choose the rock or the hard place. Either you go to Cirie and Parvati and tell them so they can use their trinkets, because you also know the Parvati has something. So it's like, I'm not going to vote with you, but I verifiably know about it, and I didn't fill you in when you could have used an idol. Like, that's not loyal in any capacity. So you choose a side. Either you go with them or you just do go with the internationals. But yeah, that wasn't the way to do it. That was not. It was a very unfortunate day for Lisa. Like, I know that like people have said like Lisa reminds me of like we have some synergy, and I was channeling her, and I was like, I was emotional. Peter's like, why are you crying? I'm like, because I Cirie about to vote out Lisa. Like, the idea of that just broke my heart into pieces.
Ooh. And on the one hand, I'm like, oh, that would crush me. On the other hand, I'd be like, I'd like to get voted out by Cirie. You know, like, I'm like something like Cirie voted me out one time. Like, no, I think I was like, if it leads Cirie to victory, then I'll take the L. No, but yeah,
I want her to win, but I want to be with her. I don't want.
I want to lose to her at the end. I don't want her. Exactly. I don't want. I need to be on a jury. I need to be swaying the votes for Cirie from the jury villa. Maybe that's what I want. But this moment is why I have a little bit of grace for Lisa in her moment where she's kind of like tapping out, because I think that when she sees that Tommy is up next, she realized that I biffed this. Like, I really screwed this up, and you know, Tommy probably has a better chance of winning at the end than Lisa does at this point, now that she's kind of made some messy moves in this game. She was playing so tight up until this point, and I think she was doing a really good job. But she's like, damn, I didn't sacrifice Cass. She threw Tommy under the bus the first shit, like when after she sacrificed Cass by going over to Parvati, after not going over to Parvati, which I do want to talk to you about. But she goes over to Parvati. She's like, yeah, let me tell you what happened. Tommy came up with this plan. He said he had the Aussies. There wasn't nothing I could do about it. And they're like, okay, bet, Tommy, you're next. Like, Lisa, I get it. You throwing him under the bus, but then I think she started having buyer's remorse. Like, damn, is this scummy? Like, is this bad? Because the first time I played, I didn't stick by my people. And now I've legit let two of my people, like, led them directly to the slaughter. I have a really hard time of beating Cirie, have a really hard time of beating Parvati, and I don't know how I'm going to get to the end with the Aussies. So maybe I just bow out, give Tommy the space to go on and fight the good fight for the internationals, since I clearly left us hanging a little bit. And, you know, I live to fight another day. And then then he lives to fight another day, and maybe he can win the game. But JLP is like, you know, you won't be on the jury, and you're not going to be able to vote for Tommy, and he's probably going to get voted out anyway after we get rid of you. He's like, oh, well, never mind. You know, it's fine. It's fine. I'll take it back.
Yeah.
We're cool.
Well, Tommy's only hope at that point is that they vote out Lisa over her.
Over him. Yeah.
Over him, sorry, is what I mean. They 100% should do that. At the very least, Australians, like, if you're not taking the shot at Parvati or Cirie, which you 100% should do, at the very least, to me, keep in Tommy, who is always going to do what's in his best interest, which is working with you. He's going to be taking shots at Parvati and Cirie, who's not even trying to work with. Lisa doesn't even vote for Cirie here when Tommy tells her to do it. Now, nor should she, because if the Australians decide to vote out Cirie, Cirie's gone anyway. That's not her decision. And if Cirie doesn't go home and they don't make that decision, which is what happened, she might as well maintain that relationship, probably both in and out of the game. But like, Lisa quitting doesn't make her or wanting to quit doesn't make her an easier beat. It just shows the absurd loyalty she's going to have. We see this in Winners at War with all of these people who have won. It's like, you tick that off the bucket list, Lisa style. What else do you want to take? What is important? For Ben, it was about having like a real ally, and he did something similar to this. For Lisa, I don't know if we've spoken about it personally or on the podcast, but she has really been haunted by the fact that her win came at the expense of having to turn on her closest ally in one of the best moves of all time. And that, you know, it's if she's feeling some type of way about, firstly, how she's treated her allies and how they've kind of fallen for her mistakes in this episode, and secondly, her own winning chances, there's some self-awareness in that. But I will say, we wouldn't have said that Lisa was winning at the final 7 of her season. And then at the final 6, she makes this amazing move. Like, there's still game to play. She wasn't as down and out in her first season. She just was kind of more under the radar. But there's still game to play. I wouldn't count yourself out, but I felt for Lisa because I felt like it was purely compassionate. It was mostly just based on that, like, real human thing and this thing beyond the game. The second that she got out there with Cirie, there was something there beyond the game, and I think that's translated through her whole game, and we see that manifest here, and I hope that there isn't, like, a backlash against her. I hope that people see it for, like, the kindness and honestly the self-doubt that it is. It was highly relatable in many different ways, actually, and painful, because I feel like it came at the expense of this, like, really, really terrible day that she'd had on the show.
Yeah. I feel like she had put her game, like she was sitting there on the little step. I mean, on the little bench or whatever. They're doing their things,
Stool, I
and then
think.
she's kind of like a stool, yeah, whatever. She's sitting there, and she's like, "Damn, I messed this up. Should I get up? I shouldn't get up. I'm not gonna move. I'm not gonna move because I messed this up. I should just sit here. Like they're not gonna." And then Cass is like, "Hey, you need to go talk to Parvati." She's like, "Oh, I don't know. I kind of messed this up, man." So she's like, "Because if I go talk to Parvati, I can't undo what's been done. I have to throw Tommy under the bus." She's like, I have to throw y'all under the bus if I get up. So then finally at the end, she's like, I guess I gotta do it. And she goes over there and does exactly what she's supposed to do at this point. I gotta throw y'all under the bus. It's either you or me. Y'all gotta go. And when she does it, I think with Cass though, she's like, damn. Because Cass goes out about to playing the idol for Lisa. Lisa goes over there, throws him under the bus, and Cass is like, no, Lisa, I got you. I felt up Lisa. I'm like, damn, I really messed this up. Like, Cass, please don't do that. You'll make me feel bad. And so when you see Cass leave, she's over there on the jury looking at you like, damn, Lisa, really? I tried to save you, and you over here throwing us under the bus. She's looking at Tommy fighting for his life. She's like, man, my bad. Like, I gotta go, man. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't want to go here. I didn't want to play the game like this. This was not what I was trying to do. This is not the life I wanted for me. It ain't. And so then I think she had to just she had to fight with that for a second. Now she does not quit. So another reason why I'm gonna send some grace because JLP is like, that's crazy. And she's like, you're right, my bad. But I definitely understood the instinct to be like, I kind of messed that one up. And that's on a world stage. I think a lot of times like we forget that Survivor is televised. They're playing a game on an island and it's isolated, but you have to be thinking like, I came into this, I don't have the biggest profile of these people. And now I've kind of tanked a lot of like what's going on around me and stuff like that. I probably feel a little bad, not loving the edit that I probably think I'm going to get at this point because I know I messed this up. Kind of the rules start spinning on you a little bit. You're like, all right, I've done this before. I could probably tap out of this, maybe save some face. Maybe people will kind of look at it and be like, well, at least you didn't go down just being a complete heel and just like cutting all the people off at the knees. So she tried, but it was just a tight spot, man. I was like, this is crazy that it happened. And it happened so fast. Everything was going fine. They had their 5-person alliance. It was fine. She got a little greedy.
Well, I think that she just wants to save Tommy. Like she wants to be in the game. She doesn't quit at the point where it's not going to save Tommy. It was some of that compassion. But we need to talk about this moment where Cass uses the idol wrong. It was like wrong read 101. It was such a good bluff from Parvati. So it says on the idol stealer rules, you can only play it, which Parvati does not read out. Ask see the parchment. You play it when it's time to vote, as we saw Miles do, as is true with knowledge is power. If you could just do it here, can you imagine how overpowered that would be? The second
Almost
that someone
like the god idol that Tony used in Cagayan, but whatever.
He did a lot more than that. More than that.
Whatever.
He never needed to use the god idol.
He never needed it because they were just terrified of it because it worked every time.
Because he was in control of every vote.
Or because if they vote for him, he will vote for them and they will go home.
But he weaponized that.
Listen,
he weaponized that.
Of course he did.
Also, when were they realistically really going to do that?
Listen, we're not here to relitigate Cagayan. What I'm saying is that this would have been super overpowered if it was okay for Parvati to do this. But the problem is that, like, even though it's like a little far-fetched for it to be that OP, we've seen advantages that are this overpowered. Think back to Brain versus Braun in AU, and it's George's advantage that he finds on the first episode is like, hey, do you want to save half the tribe and yourself? That's it. That was the advantage. You found this thing. You could save you could pick your allies, save them or remove them for tribal council and leave people for dead. Like that's OP too. So I was like, okay, you can't really be too skeptical of this. Like if Parvati says this is what she got, you could ask me the Parvati treatment. But in that moment, Parvati didn't have to show it to you.
True. No, well, the thing is that if Parvati could use it, then she would just use it. She wouldn't let Cass just keep it.
She's like, just save it. Save it. It's fine.
Yeah, just save it. And then she wouldn't. And firstly, she lets Cass go up to Jonathan. Cass at that point can say anything. If she could, she would have taken it to make sure, firstly, that Cass can't do that. And secondly, just to have an idol. You'd rather, if Cass is going to up and play it on Lisa, if she could actually use it, you'd rather take it than have her waste it and waste a public idol at that point, with the only other idol she knows on Lisa. So it wasn't even just about the advantage itself. It's just about how someone would behave in that situation. They'd want to take the idol if they could. They also, she's also like, did you vote for Lisa? And she's like, yes. It's like, well, I'm gonna play it on Lisa. It's like, oh great, negate my vote. Like the lack of reaction from everyone when she says Lisa is what should get you. And Tony was very good at this, right? Looking back to assess how people like took in his idol play and then making decisions based on that. If Cass had played it on herself, firstly, if Parvati canceled the idol, she's definitely stealing the idol. Luke would play his idol. Cass would be safe. Luke would be safe. Shawnee would go home on 1 vote. But actually, no one moves. And if no one moves, you haven't done anything that impressive. Like, you know that the Aussies must have an idol. None of them are playing it. Parvati's not stealing an idol. One of them must.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're like,
maybe Kirby got voted out with the idol, they think.
Well, I'm very confused by that. And I don't mean to derail the conversation, but you know, when Parvati has this knowledge is power, and they're like, we should vote out Luke. No, let's just vote out Shawnee to be safe. I'm like, why? Because you think Luke has an idol? Because if that's the case, Parvati, you can fix that. You know, or is it like because you think
I think it's because they think Shawnee is a bigger threat.
But what I'm saying is that you say to be safe. And I'm like, what's safe about voting out Shawnee versus Luke? Like, if you think they have an idol between the 3 of them, there's only 3 of them. So if Shawnee's a big threat and she has an idol, they weren't talking about splitting. They were just gonna vote for Shawnee. You know, is it that they think
Janine split?
They think exactly. But that's what I'm saying. There's no insurance plan there. It's just we're gonna vote for Shawnee and hope that she doesn't have the idol. So I'm like, well, if you think that one of them has an idol, why not try to use that more offensively?
Like a nullifier.
Yeah, like Luke, I think you got one. You know, like why not?
Well, just whoever you're voting for. It's like, Shawnee, do you have one? No. Yeah. All right, but then the thing is, like, if Luke has one, he can just play it on Shawnee.
Exactly. I think you I think you could use this offensively to be like, I'm going to shoot at one of you. Right? The odds are that somebody has an idol. It probably wasn't Kirby, because maybe Kirby would have told Parvati. Maybe they got that read off of her. Or maybe Kirby wouldn't have told Parvati. Who knows? But if you really think that there's an idol over there, you got 33% chance of getting it right. I just like, if you really have a good feeling about this, like, why not just be like, Luke, do you have one? And just see what happens. But this is way better. I would just say that. Whatever result we got right here is way better. This is the sexy move, Shannon. You know I love the sexy move.
Yeah, well, I mean, from Parvati, this was such a great bluff. But the thing is, I really think Cass should have known. There was no trust there to be like, Parvati saying, okay, it's fine. You know what? I'm not going to steal it. I could. I'm not going to. Because we're aligned enough. But you know, I've voted for Lisa at absolute best, but I'm going to let you save Lisa to take out an Aussie. Like, if Parvati wanted an Aussie out, she would have voted for an Aussie. So even in what she thinks is happening is like, Parvati's allowing her to negate her own vote to take out an Aussie that Parvati didn't want when she voted 5 minutes ago. She wanted Lisa out of the game. If that's something Parvati could have done, she would have taken the idol. But Parvati's using it to be like, I can take your idol, but Cass, I'm not going to. We're not voting for you. Just don't do it. Friend, ally. And it kind of works because it's like, okay, it's not that I'm going to save it. I'm just going to use it on someone else. And we're all okay with that. You could take my idol. You're not going to. We're kind of collaborating on this somehow to make the right move. Actually, I'm just blindsiding you. So that was a very good bluff from Parvati, who definitely knows when her advantage, I think, can be played.
Yeah, I mean, because like, think about it. If Cass is like, okay, Parvati says, I'm gonna take your idol. Let me just take it. Then look, Parvati has 2 idols. That's incredible for Parvati. But instead, she's like, no, I'll let you play it on Lisa, nullify the Lisa votes, and then I'll just roll the dice that y'all didn't vote for me or Cirie. You know, because Parvati doesn't. She's like, I have the idol around my neck. She doesn't play it. Neither one of them is actually immune. So Parvati, you're telling me Parvati's willing to take a risk that y'all didn't vote for her, and she allowed you to
vote negated. Know that there'll be a bounce back that could be on her.
It could be on anybody.
Take the idol,
but no,
and not even play her own idol, let alone steal the idol.
Trust me, just keep it, Cass. Just keep it.
It was so obvious that it should have made her switch from Lisa and Tommy's immune and go to herself.
It really was. It was just so frantic. I think that everything's moving so fast. And like you said, it's so obvious, but at the same time, it's like Cass is in desperation mode. Since the moment Tribal Council kind of blows up, and it blows up very quickly onto it, like, I don't know like how much they cut out of this, but it does seem like they sit down and the Aussies start whispering and then people just start standing up. I think JLP might have asked a question before like everything started to blow up. But Cass is in conflict resolution mode. Like, she's up, she's down, she's over here, she's over there. She's trying her best. Like, Parvati, you gotta listen. No, I swear to God, like blah 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 blah. Yeah, you could tell. Like, she's like, no, stick to the plan. Stick to the plan.
He's lying in English, which he said she couldn't do.
Right. And meanwhile, Lisa is just sitting there, and Parvati's like, well, if Lisa feels this way, why isn't she talking to me? And Cass goes up there like, Lisa, go talk to. What are you? Get up. get up. And Lisa's like, damn. You know, she's still sitting there like, ooh, how I really screwed this up. This is crazy. What do I do here? You know, it's just, she's so frantic the entire time that I think even in that moment, she's still in just like emergency, you know, whatever mode. And she just doesn't have time to sit back and say, wait a minute. Why would you want me to say? You know what I'm saying? Like, she's in the moment. JLP's about to read the vote. You know, like, I think it's kind of like one of those things like, all right, JLP, wait 1 second. And he's like, any second now, he could be like, I'm about to read the votes. So you're kind of moving very quickly. You don't know how long he's going to wait for you. She's under the gun. It was, yeah, this was tough, man. And I like Cass so much. But I do think a large part of this, and we haven't really talked about it much, it's just the level of experience Parvati has versus some people who've only played one time. I think that Parvati has played so many times, but against so many different people and different types of players. Whereas, like, if you play against the same tribe, you know those people probably really well if you make it really far in the game. You know what makes them tick. Parvati has played with the Amandas of the world. She's played with Yule. She's played with Yule twice. You know, she's played with
Russell. You can't tell her anything. She can do anything.
She played with Sandra. She played with Russell. She's played with Tony. She played with all the winners. So, like, of the US version. So it's like, she's seen a lot of things. Parvati is probably a little bit more attuned to this than most people would be, just because she's had the experience, whereas like Tommy and Cass haven't had the same reps that she's had against multiple types of players in multiple situations. So, you know, even the Aussies, you know, Shawnee's played a bunch of times, Luke played a couple times, Janine's played once. So like Parvati still like got like not only the days advantage, but just situational advantages over everybody else, that she's lived a lot of Survivor lives. Right. And then she has the trinkets. And so like, there's really not a lot you could say about Parvati's like game in these moments, like where she is just cooking and she's firing at all cylinders. I loved it.
But for Cass, which not in her defense, because it's not a defense, what she's thinking is like they do vote for an Australian, like they vote for Luke. So it's like they've been chased back into their corner. No, we were always with you becomes a cover story. And it's like, if we're all together, I'm actually doing the Luke plan that you wanted. If you voted for Lisa, no, it's okay. I'm going to get us back on track. I'm going to play the idol on Lisa. We're going to vote out an Australian. But it's like, no, so much has passed since then. So much has changed. I want Lisa out now. I don't trust you. I don't even trust that the bounce back isn't on me. Like, there's so many reasons I wouldn't allow you to play an idol, just have the world plan that we made a few hours ago go through, because we've lived lives since then. So there was a lot here. What did you think about turning to begin with from the worlds? I mean, Lisa is not into it, because I kind of feel like it's different for all of them. Like for Lisa, I get why she doesn't want to do it. She's turning on Cirie. She's like the most connected to Cirie, and she probably thinks like, I'd rather go down. She just wants Parvati out at a point. Maybe go down to the 7 that I really like the position that the Australians got into, where you're the 3 between 2 twos, and there's a really good opportunity then. Maybe you even bring in a Cirie who should want to take out Parvati on a vote at 7 that you hopefully have some time for. So I get it. Cass, like, Parvati's been targeting her, but she did well in choosing the Spa Award. She made it this really binary thing. I do think you could lean into that a little bit longer and then go to 7, but I do get it a bit more because she's been targeted. And then Tommy, I do actually get it the most for, because Tommy wants to take a shot. He's immune now. He's like rather too early than late. He probably knows he's a bit on the back foot, needs to get like a major scalp and do it now. If we're saying it's good for everyone to look at Parvati at a 7, he should do it at 8. He should own it at 8, even if it's riskier. So I actually like this from Tommy, but I understood why it was complex for everyone else, because that's a big move. that's a big shot.
So when they get to this moment where Tommy's about to make his move, you got the 3 Aussies versus the 5 world, right? And he's saying like, okay, now is the time to eat one of our own, which would basically make it 3 Aussies to the 4 world. But I feel like at that point, if you take out Parvati, what's stopping Cirie from jumping ship at that point? Like, she's going to the Aussies. I think that, I don't know if I enjoy this move from even Tommy. Like, I get that he's immune right now, so this is going to be really hard for him to leave Tribal Council with that thing around his neck and then not come back to Tribal Council, considering he has immunity. That it would be crazy if that happened. But it does. But in this moment, I'm like, numbers wise, you take out Parvati here, you still have Lisa, you still have Cass and Tommy. That's 3. You have the Aussies with 3, but now Cirie is in the middle. You just lost the next vote, right?
Well, you are hoping that Lisa can keep Cirie in. You're hoping don't give the Aussies that ammo. I think for Tommy, it's like you become a bit desperate because your win equity is quite low. You know that you've had a lot less room to move, and you're going to go to the end and lose now. You need big moves to win to get something. So like maybe you lose the next vote and they take out Cass, who's a bit of a shield, and then you work it back from there. I don't think that you can go to 7 where everyone should want to take out Parvati in a world where you've taken out an Australian and it's like this 3-2-2, and maybe even Cirie is thinking of it and everyone's happy, and then who gets the credit? Tommy coming out here hard when he has immunity and it's a bit early and it puts him in more danger. I'd rather be in more danger and then go home on, you know, on like a big move that actually gave you a chance to win, rather than sitting on your hands and then just going to the end and being safe with no chance to win. I'd rather take that move and then work it out later. For someone like Tommy, who I think has very little win equity at that point and has been like really neutralized in this game and just not had a lot of space to move from the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't really see.
I don't love it. I'm just saying I see it the most from him. Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But yeah, definitely like taking out Parvati here, pissing off Cirie and giving Cirie all the types of like motivation in the world to just go be like, hey, Janine, do you want it to be me and you and Shani? And now what's Janine gonna say? No, you know, like she's like, fine, whatever, I don't care. Like, you know, or even maybe Cirie and Lisa are that close to where they're like, what if we both jump ship? What if Cirie takes Lisa over with her and she's like, Tommy, you're out, Luke's out, and now Cirie's didn't work her way into another majority. I just felt like leaving this at basically 3-3 split with Cirie in the middle didn't do him any favors. I think it's like you said, like if he needs to build a resume, then yeah, sure. He makes this move on Parvati, takes out a big fish. You know, so it does. I mean, you got to get her out eventually. And so this might be the only time, you know, she's got the trinkets that we now know about, both the trinkets. At first, only one was public, but now we know about both of them. But, you know, and if Cirie is really locked in with Parvati, you can't really trust Cirie not to like let Parvati in on the plan. So you have to blindside them both. So yeah, I don't hate it, but I definitely don't love it. Like, I definitely think that like, just from a number standpoint, you don't want to piss off Cirie and leave her or her and Lisa in a position where now they can go and form a new majority without you. And it would have been very easy to do that by taking Parvati out here and leaving Cirie in the middle.
Conventionally, anyone does it next, but because anyone does it next, maybe you do it here early and work it out. I won't say I love it, but I got it. I understood why you want to take that, and I'd rather go out in a blaze of glory, hopefully taking out Parvati and always having that, rather than missing my shot or getting to the end and saying, like, I was part of that. It's like, who wasn't? Everyone wanted to take out Parvati at a final 7 where we had some time to look at that, and obviously they would have thought they were going to have an actual final 7 round where they would have time to kind of talk about that. But I'd love to talk about Cass and Tommy a little bit, because 82 episodes of prep down the drain in an hour tonight, which is tricky. No, I'm so glad that I watched them. I think that in talking about what I saw of them in their first season about a month ago compared to now, I think Cass really came out of her shell and elevated her game to step out of what had been Gislaine's shadow in her original season to become the biggest target. She was the endurance threat. We know she is. She found an idol again, but I think she became a real threat. And this is the thing, is like, this is the duality we're talking about. Like, she wasn't going to go to the end and lose. I think if she got to the end against quite a few people, she actually had a really great shot, but it made her a bigger target. And I think actually that's a credit to how she changed her game from the first time. I think that Tommy, again, was really neutralized here in terms of just not having as many people to work with. I think that all of the unknowns have been in a tricky spot. Like, there's the threat of being an icon, but there's also been that aura and that reverence to really get people to work with you, which they haven't had. And I think that, you know, Tommy ran the game in his first season. So I think he really struggled. We did see that he has like a very good, varied challenge ability, which was nice to see. I think that he was incredibly endearing. And I do want to say it's not been talked about enough. Them doing this in a second language when everyone else is a native English speaker is beyond. Like, I can't even imagine. Yeah. So all the props to them. I'm glad we had them on the season. I'm glad that I knew them, and I'm sad to have lost them both tonight.
I hated this move the most for Cass. Because I think like you said, Tommy might need to make this. I don't think Cass needs to make this move right now. I think she should be shutting this down.
And especially because she'd done good work in pulling it back and really consolidating the world on this like very binary choice of like, don't have an escape hatch with Janine. It's us v them, and we're just going for it. And they could have continued to go for it, keep him really comfortable, and then you take a shot probably next round. So
I agree. She had
done enough there. Yeah, she
she had a secret idol. I don't love her playing the idol for Lisa. I think that at this point, once it's all blown up, you might have just cut your losses. You know, Parvati says, I'm not going to take it from you. You keep it. You like, all right, whatever, it's mine. And then like, if Lisa goes, she goes. Like, at this point, it's done. Like, it's cooked. Parvati just voted for Lisa. You did not convince her to come back to your alliance.
And even if you save Lisa, and even if you save Lisa and an Australian goes,
you still lost Parvati.
Yeah, like, I think that you're in a minority anyway. Like, I think that you just be cautious and you protect yourself. Read aside, and we've talked about the read. Like, there's a million reasons to either, like, if you think you're fine, to either keep it for yourself or just to more cautiously play it on yourself at this point. Like, your minority of 3 is now kind of doomed. So goodbye.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I know there's been countless comparisons made between Cass and Amanda Kimmel. I've never seen Cass play Survivor, but I thoroughly enjoyed her this season for sure. I love seeing her. She was so fun and confessional. I love when she take the spa thing was cool. I completely agree with the people she chose for the spa thing, because I'm looking to assess these people's skill level, because I've never seen them play before. So I'm like, okay, what's Cass doing right? What's she doing wrong? But it did give me shades of like heroes versus villains with Cass and Parvati, where Amanda is like, Parvati, you got to believe me, play your idol, and Parvati's like, girl, what? She's like, yeah, play it on you, I promise. Like, it gave me that same vibe where Parvati's like, is everything okay? And Cass like, no, everything's fine. She's like, no, because it feels weird. She's like, nope, you're voting with us, right? She's like, no, I'm not voting. Like, it's Parvati and Amanda all over again, where Parvati can just see through it. And so, like I said, it's probably a lazy comparison, considering I've never seen Cass play Survivor before. But seeing that's out there, that comparison is out there, I couldn't help but see like the parallel, and like I could see Amanda in this spot for sure. Like being like, no, Parvati, play your idol, I promise. And
also the bluff. It was like the opposite. Like when
it
Amanda told Parvati to play her idol, and now here Parvati told Cass, and Parvati doesn't do it. And here Parvati told Cass to play it on Lisa, and Cass does. It was a real role reversal there in the same winning duality for Parvati over this version of Amanda Kimmel that we've been told is similar.
Yeah. But that said, I thoroughly enjoyed Cass and Tommy. I like them both. I'm very jealous that you got to watch them play Survivor. I am going to be looking for these links. I know you got them, so send them to me. But
I don't, but I'll try for you.
You know how we're gonna do it. But anyway, I did enjoy them. I hated to see them both go out like this in the same episode. Because I just felt like we're not getting enough content. We definitely didn't get enough content from Tommy. He was very like, if anybody was purple this season, it was definitely Tommy. But I think he made his presence known, being in like one of the more powerful alliances and winning this challenge the way he does. He does the stacking of the things, the stacking of the cards or whatever with the water bucket. We've never seen that version of this on US Survivor, I don't think. And he does it in one try, unless it was weirdly edited and they tried to make it seem like it, like to yada it to get fast, like to the tribal council faster, because we had a lot of tribal. It looks like Tommy just knocks it out in one go. And I thought that was so impressive. Like, it's like nobody else had a chance to get any momentum because he was just on the go. And so I really enjoyed his challenge performance too. But we got to pour one out for him. And shout out to Luke.
Pour out a bucket of water.
Yeah, got to pour out a bucket of water. And then shout out to Luke for his immunity win at Tribal Council, because it seems like he does the little balls thing in one try as well. Whereas, like, had he messed up, maybe Parvati slips into that spot. Maybe somebody else slips into that spot. But no, that was a clutch win, and I got to give him credit where it's due. Yeah,
well, I think, that Tommy is scrappy, and this is exactly why you keep him in the game. And, like, the Aussies just had so much power to do that, because it's a 7-person vote and they have 3. But if Tommy's voting for Lisa, that's a 4-3. If they vote for each other, you went on the 4-3. If just Lisa votes for Tommy and Tommy votes elsewhere for Cirie, say it's a 3-3-1, your 3 decide. If all the votes are split, which they were, like Lisa was on Janine, Tommy was another vote on Cirie, and then say like Parv and Cirie were on Tommy, which they were, you win 3-2-1-1. Like, your 3 has so much power there to at least get rid of Lisa, but they kept her with Cirie, and that's just painful to me. It was like the worst of the options. It was like you've chosen the wrong group and the worst option in the group, which was incredibly painful. But to talk about something more complex, let's go back to this for Cirie. If they bring in Cirie, what if Lisa says, I am going to vote out Parvati, and I'm going to do the vote, and I'm not going to be wishy-washy about it, but I'm going to bring in Cirie? What does Cirie do? Do you think Cirie is into that?
I don't know.
It's early.
It's early. It's very early. But Cirie knows where the bodies are buried. She knows that Parvati has 2 advantages. I thought it was wild that Parvati shared that second advantage.
He's so loyal to Cirie. It's actually very
so
sweet.
loyal to Cirie. I loved it,
lovely, actually.
But it pissed me off because I was like, because at first I was like, oh, look at them, they're best friends. They're gonna go to the end together. I was like, and then she's gonna beat Cirie, and I don't like that. I was like, no, I don't like it. You can't. There's a smoke screen.
Cirie will lose in a much more aggravating way than that, like a bigger twist than just losing at the end. She's going to. It's the prophecy.
How dare you? Anyway, but you're right. But stop it. You're not right. I'm not gonna say no. Stop it. Anyway, listen. I saw that moment, and for a second, it endeared me, and then like a millisecond later, I was like, no, Cirie. This lady just handed you her heart in the game. If this was the other way around, she would stab it a bunch of times and then eat it. You know, like, so what are you going to do, ma'am? Are you going to go to the end with, are you going to go to the end with Parvati, or do, like you said, does she have the killer instinct to go ahead and say, all right, no, let Parvati go right here. I do think the numbers are still kind of wonky. You know, Parvati goes right here. I don't know what that means for Cirie at that point. You know, does she have the ability to now pivot some more? Is she just like at the end of the World Tribe Alliance and she doesn't want to be in that spot? Let's say they get Parvati here direct, like right here. They go to tribal council immediately, right again. Like they do their immunity challenge. Let's say Luke still wins it, especially maybe Cass wins it, but let's say Luke still wins it. At this point, you know, they have to vote out another Aussie. Like, I don't think Cirie can then flip again to vote out somebody like Tommy, you know? So I think, like, I don't know, man. This is tough. I don't know if Cirie, I don't want to say I don't know if she has it in her, but it definitely didn't feel like, we haven't gotten any information about Cirie throughout the season that would even indicate that she has any inclination to turn on Parvati.
Parvati. It's just because we think she should. And also, to be fair, she said Parvati won her season. I've been clinging to that as the opening confessional. But you are right in that she's never actually said she will take out Parvati. If she wants to take out Parvati at a point, which she should, and now is basically impossible. Parvati has 2 trinkets and she needs to use them both correctly. But then we're going to be at 6-5, and then she's most likely to win the challenge at 4.
Most likely to win all the challenges. Yeah.
And also, if Cirie takes out Parvati now, like, she doesn't have other options. Like, her other escape raft was rushed out the door in this episode. It was so unfortunate. I think that if they come to her at 8, obviously then she can tell Parvati to play the idol. So she would have a real decision. I kind of think she would do it because I think her major investment really had been in the worlds. And I think that we had seen that. But the thing is, they don't clue her in here. So it would be a very early move. I don't think it would be what she would want to do, but I think she would go along with it. But they don't even give her the opportunity. At that point, she can only stay with Parvati. Like, she's lost her escape raft. Even then, they win the vote. And then it's like, okay, we've taken out Cass, but maybe we can consolidate. Maybe there's still time to take out Parvati. Like, maybe I'll see. And then there's immediately another vote. Like, I think if anyone was kind of screwed over by this twist, as always, it was Cirie. But Parvati played it very, very perfectly. So I think that, she's kind of stuck now. Like, at least she does have Lisa. And that is, like, the best thing for her. Like, Parvati has trinkets, Cirie has Lisa, which is great. But she's pretty stuck. This was great for the Parvati-Cirie duo, meaning this was great for Parvati. This was wonderful for Parvati alone. Yeah.
Let me think. Okay, so let's say Cirie takes out Parvati here.
It's hard.
They immediately vote again, and then they take out, let's say they take out Shani next. Okay, so you got Cirie, Cass, Tommy, Lisa. Cirie and Lisa could kind of duo up maybe against Cass and Tommy, but then it's kind of like a 2-2-2 at that point. Is there any room for her to go work with Janine and Luke? And Lisa can go against Cass. I think she has the wiggle room if she takes out Parvati. I think she has the wiggle room. I think it's hard to take out
Parvati at 8, but she's not even brought in. But yeah, I think that she would do it.
Yeah, I think I don't know if she would, but I think she should.
The hope is that you take out Parvati and then you come back as the worlds at 7. You take out a couple of Aussies and hope that the world
take out Shani. Yeah, take out Shani, and then it's Cirie, Cass, Tommy, Lisa versus Janine and Luke. Luke at some point will play his idol, or but you gotta. But at that point,
take out Cass at a point. There's room there. They didn't bring her in.
They didn't bring her in. Maybe that's what Lisa should have done. Instead of going to them and being like, "Hey, I'm gonna not vote with you, blah blah blah, because I want to save this relationship with Cirie." Maybe she does what Cirie does, because Cirie did this a couple episodes ago. Parvati's like, "Let's make a move," and Cirie's like, "You want to make a move with Kirby? That's cool. Let me go tell them, because I need to preserve that relationship with the world," and she does. And so I think that's what. Okay,
Lisa should have done. Yeah, Lisa comes to Cirie and says, "We're gonna take out Parvati, but we're locked in. Then we're 4 of 7. Parvati's out of the game. We lock in against the Aussies, and let's talk about that at like a final 5 or 6. And maybe you take out a Cass before she gets to a final immunity challenge." I think that's what, and I think Lisa would be good for that. I think Lisa is a better ally for Cirie than even Parvati is, to be fair. Well, because Parvati will beat Cirie. They're both very, very loyal to Cirie. Yeah, but to beat her, whereas Lisa won't. So I think that's it, and I think Cirie does it. But at the point where she hasn't been brought in, there's very little she can do. Parvati is being targeted in a duo with her. Now she's being crammed into this duo, and again, she loses her escape raft in a very quick vote where she has no agency to take out Parvati, no room and that space to take out Parvati, and is not even being given the information to jump on something where she could further work it down. So tough spot. Very tough spot. I
Yeah.
don't really blame her, but I think it's a bad spot.
But yeah, they didn't. I mean, they didn't bring her in, so nothing she can do.
Yeah.
I did. Oh, we'll talk about it with the Chizi. But yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I got a couple of things before the Chizi. I really like how Cirie always references her mother's wisdom. My mother always told me, can't always beat him with this. You can always beat him with this. She says about her mother and like that ring of truth. I think that was great. I also really love, maybe Parvati will be the next player turned host, because I love how the season Parvati's just like, I'm done. Wrap it up, Jonathan. I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to vote.
Yeah.
So this works on JLP. This does not work on Jeff. This does not work on Jeff. Jeff's like, brother, we'll get to it when I'm ready. You know, we've seen Jeff kind of snap back at the people who like, we're ready to get to the challenge, Jeff. Maybe he was just mad at Kobe then. But yeah, Parvati's got the riz to be like, JLP, let's wrap this up. I'm ready. The queen is
like, hey, I'm still the host for a few more days. I'll tell you when.
Oh my God!
Okay, I
don't
decide
say
who votes
when they
vote.
Why did you say that? You didn't have to say that.
Devastating to think about. But look, Parvati is an option. She knows. She tells us when to vote. The other thing that was funny from this episode is how the Aussies were like, "Here in Australia, we smashed the box. We don't need a key. We smashed the box."
I loved it. I loved it because they're like, "Should we just break it?" And I was like, "That is so SurvivorAU coded." And then they just go break it. I was like, "They would never do that in Survivor US. They would never." Yeah. They would never. The way that like just became canon to me, like as far as like it's within the bounds, the rules of the game. The next time there's anything locked, smash it against a tree. Like, why are you climbing a tree and retrieving a ring and all kinds of stuff? Bust that thing up against the nearest rock and move on about your day. The Aussies doing that's why we love SurvivorAU. It's a little bit more rough and tumble than I think the Survivor US is. And I like this.
I love how the internationals wouldn't have thought for even 1 second to do that.
No, they're too polite.
They have some decorum.
They're too polite. They're like, that's ghetto. And the Aussies are like, break it now.
Break it, smash. Like literally just like Hulk smash in the box, which is how we do it over here in Australia. But let's get to what was a very difficult Chizi. Take it away, Jacob Sager-Weinstein and MC Color.
1, 2, 3. It's getting kind of Chizi. 3, 2, 1.
Get your Chizi donations in for the Chizi raffle. It is ending very soon. Now, under a week. In just over a week, we'll be doing the finale recap and reading out or hearing from or seeing those points. We've raised quite a bit of money. I'll give the final tallies at the end, but please do get your donations in for that. Chappell, I struggled. I went back and forth. You give me your points, and then I'll give mine.
Well, Parvati's getting 3.
Yes.
I don't think again. I don't know how. Yeah, like I don't know how much of this was by design, but this is probably the best episode of Survivor Parvati's ever had. Like it was just
maybe. Well, the merge at Heroes versus Villains is very hard.
That was cute, but this was sexy. Like that was sexy back then, but like this has got like this was crazy. They were on her neck. The
bluff was very good.
The bluff was good. The wearing the idol around her neck was just like a classic Survivor thing. Like it was just boom, boom, boom. They were both very sexy moves. I will say that. I'm not gonna besmirch Heroes.
It's one of the best moves of all time.
This was sexy.
That was sexy.
They were both sexy, equally sexy. We're not gonna pit 2 bad bitches against each other. They were both sexy. But okay, so a Parvati gets 3. We've talked about why. Okay, come with me on this one. I think I want to give 2 to Janine. Because Janine is the one who kind of puts the hit out on Lisa. She's the one who gets the ball rolling. She's at Tribal Council and she goes to Luke like, hey, if we turn around right now, we could probably get this on Lisa. And I was like, Janine. And then the ball starts rolling. And of course, Parvati's like, but Cass is better. And then it goes the way it goes. So I want to give 2 to Janine. And now I haven't decided. So I've been between Luke and Cirie for this one point. Cirie obviously is in a very tight spot, but she was up against it in this episode. She was about to lose her number 1 ally. She does not. And so like maybe she should.
Maybe she'd be better off if she did.
She should have lost her, right? And then Luke was a part of the flip too. They don't really give us a lot of Shani. And so it's really hard.
Can I say that's a big miss in this season? What happened to Shani and Parvati?
Where's the Shantae?
Yeah, and I really think like Shani did the flip and she voted for Cirie. I want to see Shani and Parvati come back there. That was such an important relationship. It's literally spoken about as the Shantae that the people want. And we never get a follow-up on that. And I think it's a very big miss from the edit.
When Cirie said, why don't we just target Shani to be safe? I spit my drink out. Because I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what Cirie? What?
She just voted for her.
But I hear her. But the Shantae that we want is that Parvati and Shawnee and Cirie, they're supposed to be together. Cirie, I hear you, but babe, what are you doing?
that's
You
long
got a little too
past.
much dip on your chip. Yeah, but still, we can. I'm like, Cass, we can fix this. It's okay. Play your idol. It's fine. Me, you, and Shawnee, we'll be back together, baby. It's fine. So that did catch me off guard. I can't give her any credit though, because they don't really show her having any agency in this at all. Like she's kind of like along for the ride. Luke survives another day. He doesn't play his idol. I'll give 1 to Luke. I think that's what I'm going to do here. So yeah, that's my 3 for Parvati, 2 for Janine for kind of getting the ball rolling on this, and Luke for, like being able to preserve his own idol, surviving it as like the last remaining guy in this against this all devouring women's alliance. Listen, the Wikipedia is going to show one thing. I'm just saying, if you didn't watch the season, you might think that there was one. And
if you're JT, you probably will, right?
Right, exactly. So that's what I'm gonna go with. What do you think?
I'm saying if you think there's a women's alliance, right? That's what it's gonna look like. I over-explained my joke. So I really struggled with this because coming out of the episode at first, I was like, Parvati and Cirie won. 3 points to Parvati, 2 to Cirie, and then I thought about it. I'm like, no, because Parvati and Cirie is bad for Cirie. I really paid a lot of attention on the second watch to certain particular things. I will give 3 points to Parvati. It's all been said. Such a good spot. She keeps her trinkets through the final 6. She bluffs so well. She pushes the exact right targets, taking out Cass for a final 4 endurance challenge. It's very clutch. It's no notes at all. I will give 2 votes to Luke. He sowed the chaos that I think helped really well in what was a good first vote. That was actually, if it had just been that first vote, we'd be saying a lot of good things about the Australians. And then I will say in his defense, like he wanted Tommy to stay. It was Janine who pushed Tommy. Like she pushed Lisa, but then she pushed Tommy and she said, keep it safe. And I was thinking, I'm going to see whoever pushed Tommy is not getting any Chizi votes from me. Points from me. So
but she pushed Lisa. You're not going to give her credit for Lisa?
She is a great puppeteer. Like I love the way that she'll push Luke to be like, go make up with Cirie and go tell Cirie that they wanted your name, the international floated your name, and
you gonna have
then
me
even
really sitting here fighting because I'm about to fight you on this one. I
feel very strongly about it.
I think you got to give her a point. I think when they sit down at Tribal Council and Janine looks over and says, Luke, we got to do the thing. I think that nothing happens. I don't think I'll give her credit because we saw it happen. But Janine is the one who she likes the match here. And I love that.
But I'm not saying that's not good. I'm not saying I think she does. I think she does very well in that vote. But we got 2 votes. Like in that vote for sure. Luke is like, he throws a lot of the ammo on Lisa's story, and then Janine's like, and what did they say to you yesterday? They threw out some of your sheets, and she does great. She does great. Excellent. It torpedoes on the Tommy name. Tommy is the worst possible person the Australians can vote out. How did Cirie and Parvati, so the duo, which is just Parvati, get into such a good spot at the final 6? I feel like they handed Parvati the game. To be fair, they do have 3 Australians to 3 internationals. Luke does have a trinket. Parvati has 2. So it's somewhat even.
And in the preview for the next episode.
They don't really let me talk about the preview sometimes, but
I'm not gonna say it. But what the?
Somebody might find out. I mean, we don't know. We don't know. Luke could then pass that all around. Like we don't know what he's trying to do. But I do think it shouldn't even just be slightly better than even. Like that's such a good spot for Parvati. How did you let that happen? And I think that Tommy is just the worst name of that. And she literally also says keep it safe. And I'm like, no. So I can't. So she lost a point. So I'm going to give an honorable mention, not an honorable mention, a memorial Chizi point to Tommy.
You better stop it.
I'm only giving him 2. No one else deserved more points. It was Parvati and then the
Give
chasm.
it to Cirie. Give it to Cirie.
No,
and here's why. No, here's why. Hear me out.
I know why I want it. You give it to Cirie.
But just hear me out. I didn't give one to, did I give one to Cirie? I didn't give one to Cirie. No, but hear me out. If you're going to give one to Tommy, you might as well give one to Cirie because Tommy is in a worse spot than Cirie is. He's voted out.
He's out of the game.
You're criticizing Cirie for putting herself in a worse spot. But what I'm saying is Tommy put himself in the worst spot. He is literally out of the game. And this was his plan. If
that were the case, the memorial Chizi points would never happen. I got it from his perspective.
They shouldn't happen.
No one benefited from voting out Tommy.
I'm about to flip this table.
Except Parvati.
And
everyone else was wrong. He made such good arguments in a second freaking language. If you couldn't
Okay,
go
I'll
with the
give him credit for
obvious.
that.
It's on everyone else. He made
I'll give him
great
credit for
arguments. He said he made awesome arguments about the threat level and how they could rebound the idol. He said, he said so many good things. He said
was
everything
right.
I wanted him to say
He was
about
right.
why he was a terrible target there. And they still did a baffling thing. So I'm
But
going
they
to give him
wouldn't
a
have been
point.
in this
You know,
position if it wasn't for his idea to go after Parvati right here. They should
And
have
I
waited
get
one
it,
more
though.
vote.
But I get it. But I get it.
Shannon! What are we
I
doing?
get it.
Shannon!
At the end of the day, he won that challenge. Cass was going to go out in another world. Like, he gets that opportunity to plead his case at camp. And the case was played so well in another language.
It was. Him and Cass cooked. Even the confessionals, they're really, really good. They're doing the confessionals in 2 languages. That is so cool to me. I like Tommy a lot. So I'm not gonna fight against
You
this
think
too
you're going
much.
to flip a table? You fought so hard. You were yelling
Because
at
the
me.
Memorial Chizi point just feels so wrong to me. Because it's kind of like
I should give him 2. I'm between.
if that's
the 2.
case, you should bequeath his Chizi back to Parvati. Just go ahead and do it. You know, like at this point, we're getting reckless with the Chizi. I mean, at that point, just give it to her anyway. But I hear you. Very sad. I was very sad to see Tommy go in this episode, especially the way he went out. But he went down swinging. I like that.
He went to the Australians, which I think was right, and asked them to do the very
Correct.
obvious thing. It was safe because it would rebound onto Tommy, get rid of a trinket, or get rid of Cirie, or get rid of whatever. Do something against that duo that is going to sew it up. 2 people, 2 of the most powerful people in Survivor history, with 2 trinkets that Parvati has. Just take a shot and let it fall back on me.
You're gonna make me take my Luke vote away now.
I gave him 2. I gave him 2, but Janine did that. But Janine was the one who said Tommy. Luke didn't want to get rid of Tommy, to be fair. He wanted to at least get rid of Lisa, which is better.
But put your foot down. Why did you let Janine win this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing?
You can't go toe to toe with Janine.
This is the king of the jungle. You know what I'm saying? Like,
she's literally the queen of Australia.
She's the queen of juice. Yeah, she is. And look,
I'm gonna get a juice tonight. By the way, I'm gonna be at Bondi. And I'm gonna get a juice.
I gotta figure this out. Oh, okay. You're right that it was so bad, and this was largely out of Cirie's control. Okay, so what if I do 3 for Parvati, 2 for Janine, and 1 for Cirie? Then I feel better about, like, that gives Cirie credit for the Tommy thing, because Tommy can go, whatever. There's nothing she can do there. It's not enough time. There's not, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then, like, Janine still gets the credit for the first vote, which is the Cass vote. Because I really do think that it doesn't get to Cass without Janine kind of pulling the trigger.
Yeah, no, she does very well there. She does very well in that vote.
So
Luke does very well in that vote, though. But, like,
they both do. Yeah,
the Australians do very well in that vote.
They both do.
I love how this started. You were flipping a table, angry at me, and now you're changing your Chizi points. Maybe I'm still not giving.
I'm not
asking you to give Tommy a Chizi point.
I know, but that's why I was flipping the table. I was flipping the table at that. That was I was incredulous about that specific part of this. I hear you.
Thank you.
Okay, 3.
You're so angry, but you're like, damn it, I kind of get it, but I want to yell about it.
Because they all messed this up. Okay, Parvati gets 3,
so badly.
Janine gets 2, Cirie gets 1. And if you say I'm biased, it's fine because I am.
Let Tommy leave the game taking a shot at Parvati rather than all the other people who didn't take a shot. It's worse. You're gonna get, like, destroyed now. What's the point?
This is crazy.
If Parvati's gonna win this and smash it, who cares if you're watching it from the jury bench or having it happen in the game? I mean, yeah, of course you want to be in the game and have an opportunity, but, like, they all let it go so badly. Tommy's arguments were so good. I wish I had them all in front of me. Like, I know that he offered to kind of be the rebound. I know that he pointed them out as threats. Like, he just said everything I wanted him to say. And I'm glad to give him his first Chizi point here. He probably would have won the Chizi on his season. He, like, dominated with Mary, but it would have been really between the 2 of them. But
he took a swing at the greatest Survivor player of all time. And I can't fault him for that. Yeah, I can't fault him for that. Yeah.
I'm glad we got to that. It was a very difficult Chizi. It was very.
I feel like this was harder on us than it was for them. You know,
I do. I think that they're, like, thinking about it as much as I am, because
they should be, because they really messed it up.
They really messed it up. But look, let's wrap it. Let's say Parvati style. Let's wrap this up.
Let's go, man. Let's do it.
I currently don't have an exit interview with Cass, which, by the way,
that's devastating.
Well, she's away, but I think I could get one with her maybe later in the season or later in the week or something. I'm emailing 10 about it. I really don't enjoy not having an exit interview because it's not good for my heart. Peter's like, they haven't even said Cirie's name, and I'm like even when they're going up to vote, I'm like, I just don't want it to be Cirie. Not that I really want to talk to Cass. I wanted to tell her to send Andre my love, and I will at a time. But I do have an next interview with Tommy. Then we'll have all the other recaps of the reaction show with Rob. Chappell, what do you have going on?
I'm still stunned by this whole thing. This whole episode's crazy. Cass, go play the challenge, Cass. You got to be on TV more. You go do the challenge.
I tell you, she was an endurance queen.
Yeah, like she
lived up to that hype. She was
okay. I got a lot going on. Talking about Big Brother Behind the Paywall here on WeKnowRealityTV.com. Every week we're doing the slop. We're talking about the sloppiness, and it is getting sloppy. So make sure you check that out with me and Rob Sessionino. And recently we had our guest Puya on. Next week we will have I want to say Maggie Morgan on as our guest as well. No, I think I lied. America of the challenge, and of Corey and America will be our guest next week. So make sure you check that out. Behind the Paywall, you got to become a patron in order to do that. And then you can catch me on my podcast, Recap Kickback, where I talk about whatever I want to talk about. And this week we talked about the Jussie Smollett documentary on Netflix. Me, Mari, and Matt Scott talked about it. We were trying to decide if this man was lying or not. Maybe we need Parvati to see if she can get a good read on it. Who knows? But you can check that out on Recap Kickback. You can also catch Chantel and I's coverage of the finale of Flavor of Love Season 1. Chantel had never seen it before, and so now she knows what happened. And it was a doozy watching her kind of work through those emotions this season. We'll be talking about the reunion next week with special guest Matt Scott. And then we will go into season 2, talking about Flavor of Love Season 2. We're going to cover the whole cinematic universe. Then you can catch me on the Nothing But Netflix podcast. I talked about K-pop Demon Hunters. I finally watched it. I get it, y'all. I understand. I see it's a phenomenon. I'm in the stand-up. Huntrix for life. But also Soda Pop is the best song on the movie. It's the whole thing. But you can catch me and patron Elisa on there talking about it on the Nothing But Netflix podcast, nothingbutpod.com. Next week, we'll have Grace Leader on to talk about Thursday Murder Club. Got a lot of podcasting going on, Shannon. We're also getting a special edition interview, I think, that would have come up this week with, it should be out by the time you hear this, but it is the interview with the Biggest Losers from the Biggest Loser Not Fit for TV documentary. They're going to be coming on Tracy and David to talk to me about their experiences. And so that's going to be a good time. So make sure you check that out too. And follow me on all social media platforms at Recap Kickback, and tell me that you don't agree with Chizi's points giving, posthumously.
No, it was great. It was great. You're a busy man. You reminded me that after the slop on Tuesday night ET, Wednesday morning, like 10 a.m. for us, 8 p.m. ET, we're doing a patron call-in show.
I think me and you.
Are you doing it? Okay, great. I didn't know if you would confirm.
Yeah. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there for a little bit, then I'm gonna dip out. But we're gonna be there, and then I'm gonna be there first.
All right. Yeah. Okay, great. I didn't know what was happening, but so we're doing that. We're gonna talk about all the episodes except the finale. We'll have seen the penultimate episode at that point because there's 3 episodes left, and patrons can call in, and we can get on the line and talk about this amazing season, this historic season. Glad to be doing that. Yeah, I didn't know you were doing that. That's fine, Chappell. See you later this week.
I was offered it, but then I have a recap kickback thing, but I was like, for the time that I can be there, I will be there. And so if you're on early on the Q&A, you get to talk to me and Shannon. But if you come a little bit later, you still get the queen of Global Survivor to talk to. That'd be, our very own Shannon.
Thank you so much. Even though my Chizi points are enraging.
It's a little ghetto.
My Chizi points to give. That's what we do in Australia. We break boxes. We Chizi points to Tommy. We do it all Australian. Okay, there are no rules, but this was very, very fun. Thank you so much, Chappell, talking about another great episode of the season with me. Thank you to our team behind the scenes. Thank you to you all for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.